you. I think that there's nobody who's sitting up here who don't really know the answer to this. We might be a little nervous about saying it out loud, and rightfully so, for certain concerns that you might have. But the appearance of a tax increase is in this budget purely because we did not want to go through our people with the buzzsaw. Purely. We could have very easily done exactly what both Councilman Stamps and what Councilman Foote is talking about. We could have gone through, looked at places where there are people who probably weren't there or positions rather, that probably weren't there in 2000 or weren't there in 1995. We could have looked at closely and carefully. You talk about doing things on both sides to see how many people do you have attending to one project when they could actually be attending to some other things, or we could cut those. I'm not high on a tax increase myself. As a matter of fact, if we can avoid a tax increase, I'm all for it. I think we know how we can avoid a tax increase. Again, I'm not sure that we have the stomach for that as a body. We'll see. If we saw where the opportunity presented itself to be able to do something different than a tax increase, trust me, I'll jump on it. Ms. Foote, I've heard you say this, and we've also taken the opportunity as an administration to start looking at opportunities where we can save, whether it's in the personnel line, how we can do that. Ms. Stamps, we've had conversations about processes, what processes are better if they're not. Let me tell you about leadership style. My leadership style has high task, high relationship. It's a proven task. It's a proven leadership style. Some people save money. Other people look at saving people. My leadership style lends me to looking at how do we save people. Some folks are upset because people will lose a day of work once a month. When I look at what the option is to that, sir, I'm real proud to put forward a furlough. When I look at the potential, and I know everybody's saying, well, we need to look at these things that we can't quantify. What about Entergy? What about these folks? I got that. These are all things we want to do. But in the short term, in the immediate, what's the answer? What do we do? You say you can't quantify it. Well, how do you spend it if you can't quantify it? So we're looking at those quantifiable things that we want to be able to use. Again, there is another option, and that option is taking a very careful look at each department, at each division, and saying, okay, Ms. Trivia Jones, Mr. Eric Jefferson, Mr. Allen Jones, Dr. Kidd, you all are department heads, Director Powell. Who in your department, what people can you do without? Who? Then we'll ask you those questions, and you're going to have to tell me in a director's meeting that won't go like the rest of the meetings went when we had these conversations about furloughs. Well, I'm not listening to you cry over people. Well, I got to hear you tell me I can do without 50 people in my department to help us right-size this budget, to give us a staffing number that matches the population for 2015. Because right now we have a staffing number that matches a population of 200,000 people. So my point is that I don't want to raise taxes. I don't want to cut people. But here we are. And I'm willing to hear any alternative solutions that will help us. It's got to be quantifiable, Brother Stamps. I appreciate you for thinking 30,000 feet. And there's a lot of stuff that you have said, have offered. We're working on them. I promise you we are. But because you can't even quantify it right now, we can't even give you the qualitative conversation. So I just want you to know, and I want this council to know, and I want folks who are watching to know that that is not our conversation, nor is it our desire to do any of those things. But tough decisions are going to have to be made. I would love to be on the same side making those decisions with you. I would love to be on the same side trying to figure out how do we right size every department. What that means is that some of the services that you love, you may have to consider not having them. And I saw it today. I saw it just as plain as day. I saw y'all champion, some people rather, champion for some things that the day before you didn't champion for. It was the exact picture, just a different department, because the department reflected where your heart is. And so if we're going to really make these kind of choices and decisions, we just got to be able to do it and have the stomach to understand that it ain't popular. If y'all, let me just tell you, and I'm done, I promise, Mr. President. If you all vote against a tax increase, I'm going to sit here with my fingers crossed. I'm going to shoot a text to the finance people who have already been working on a contingency. And I will say, go. And they will begin operating on that contingency plan. So we're simply wanting to present options to you guys, give you a myriad of things to consider. The tax increase is just one of several things that we all have presented to you all that gives potential savings.
Do you where are we on the contingency plan? Do we have, is that, you brought it up, and I think because I think what everyone is sitting around doing is they've got their edits and their pins, and I got my numbers that if I don't see a contingency plan, I'm going to present. I know my numbers aren't the same as Councilman Hendricks or Stamps or probably Councilman Foots at this point, but the reason I want to have this discussion is it's time for us to start putting everything out there because we're running out of time. We absolutely are. So,
well, go ahead.
Part of we've had a long conversation today about how we spend $400,000 almost on golf. We only make $35,000 on golf. That's lots of people love golf in Woodhaven where I live, but they like having police more. So I'd like, if y'all have a contingency plan, I very much would like to see it. We're working, I think, on hours. Our deadline to vote is September 15th. Director Jones, can I ask her a question? Sure. What's your drop-dead deadline for getting proposals? In terms of, because I know it takes you time. If I tell you to change number A, it takes you time to, get everything in, make sure it's doable from a legal or numerical perspective. What is our deadline to be able to start having a discussion about amendments to the budget?
Trivia Jones, Director of Administration. Honestly, by the time this week is over, we need to kind of know what those changes are going to be, because depending on what you change, we have to go back and rebudget. And so it may not be as simple as we're going to cut this expense here, and it's just that's the only place where it is. We talked about... That's why I'm asking the question. Yeah, we talked about transfer, so it just depends on what it is. So where I would be comfortable is if by Friday, when we're done with these preliminary hearings, if we are having those conversations about this is what we want to change.
Great. Thank you very much. Councilman Tillman.